Welcome to this week's episode of Courageous Leaders Changing the World. Super excited for this week's guest, Marina Perry. Thanks for joining us.
So excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
So the name of the podcast is Courageous Leaders Changing the World. What's the time you've had to summon more courage than any other time?
Oh, wow. Courage. I think any time that I have stepped into the unknown, and it's weird actually, because if I reflect, I think when I was younger, I was wildly courageous, but it didn't feel like I was being courageous.
Hmm.
And I really think that's that beginner's luck, that zero kind of concept of a context of a situation. Like I think about stepping into leases that I had no right to step into. I don't even know how they gave them to me, like when I was 22, and just going balls to the wall on a concept. Pilates was what it was called back then. No one even knew what Pilates was. Doing group reformer was not a thing. There are areas that I think that I just really had no right to, but I was so bold when I was younger. And now I think it's like the little things. As I've gotten older, I feel that it's the courage to hold the boundary or to say the thing. It feels like the little things feel harder and require more courage because, well, to be honest, I probably discovered I'm far more of a people pleaser than I thought I was. And I love harmony and I like making people happy. So those edges of myself that I'm kind of pushing into, I feel like they take more courage because I've got a lot of muscle and reps in like what other people think are big moves,
Hmm.
starting businesses, pivoting. God, the number of times I've pivoted. But again, I did that when I was young. So I think I just developed I guess the lived experience of survival right through it. So then they don't feel so scary anymore.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's definitely different seasons with courage. The first season is just the ignorance is bliss season where you're just like, I have no idea what I'm getting into. I'm going to do it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And the longer that you are in business, the more that requires very nuanced courage, which is what you're talking about with boundaries. Because it's very, very easy to fall into, oh, well, it'll be okay just this once.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's the ignorance is bliss. And then also the fact that for me personally, I was just so automated in my programming. Like it was just I was very in my masculine. I was raised to be as good as the boys and, just getting it done. And everyone just cheered as I just continued to knock and knock and knock and knock some new, pillar of achievement over until, of course, then my whole world fell apart. But I think up until then, it didn't even feel scary to do things that looking back, I'm like, what in God's name were you thinking? But I just did them. And I also had a partner, and I think this is actually a really big piece. My best friend, who was my boyfriend, who ultimately became the husband of my children, now ex-husband, was a real wind beneath my wings kind of partner, which looking back, he was a yes man, which has its own, origins and wounds, but that made me fearless.
Mm.
Yeah, at the time. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, it's interesting how our relationships kind of shape us in terms of, especially through those different seasons, and how we sometimes grow and evolve with different partners in different seasons when we're in different levels of courage and that. What's been your evolution with that?
Oh, I could talk about this forever, to be honest. So I guess because this is something I really love, like what are our paw prints of protection? And so mine growing up was being powerful. I decided early on that I needed to be capable and I needed to take care of everyone. So that's what I did. Highly capable, Wonder Woman kind of energy, just do the thing, hold everybody, carry everything. And I found a partner that was a great complement to that, who probably ran worthlessness and just kept giving me more to do, which fed the beast, which ultimately led to really like the very necessary ending of what looked like a really, really compatible relationship. But a relationship that fed both of our wounds and allowed neither of us to foster into our fullness, our wholeness, and our sovereignty. And then as that just imploded and allowed me to unfold and meet parts and aspects of myself that I didn't even know I had, then I was able to magnetize in someone who was a lot stronger, a lot more masculine, because I needed that. But my gosh, the work in showing up against that, like how difficult it's been for the last 10 years, that's been radical. But my growth has continued because I've had someone who won't dance with my wounds in the old ways. And I think that's really important. I think it's okay to acknowledge that some of our relationships are really just familiar experiences of survival that we're repeating. we see it with people who go and leave a domestic violence relationship only to call in another one. So, I mean, I guess my biggest advice is do the work in between. Otherwise, you're going to be on Groundhog Day on repeat, right?
Mm. What's been some of the differences that you've noticed in terms of how you've shown up in business in those two different seasons then?
Oh, radically different. Radically different. So I think when I teach women, I talk about our gypsy, our goddess, and our queen, as archetypes to step into. And so the queen is the energy that's more masculine, more where's the direction, what are we deciding, what are we discerning, where are we moving, like, the power and the purpose piece. And I would always say that up until 34 3/4, which is when my marriage imploded and my life got rocked to its core, my queen was in her shadow, but she was really good at it. So what I mean by that is controlling, I'll do everything, micromanaging people. I did definitely towards the end of that stage learn how to empower others, but it wasn't until I balanced out my goddess with my queen that she was able to shift into like what I call her light energies. And I was able to really empower other people. I was able to ask for help. Like asking for help, I probably would have rather poke myself in the eye with a fork than literally ask for help in my earlier years. So softening into that more balanced, we can all contribute, collaboration. I mean, the fact that I have a business partner now that's not my partner in life is just a radical shift because it's giving over control. It's trusting someone else. It's sharing the load. These are all collaborative energies that I literally didn't know how to hold or have capacity for in my youth.
And what's that been like with that different dynamic? You're originally in a business with your intimate partner, and now you're in a business with someone else. What's the difference between that?
I mean, you could probably answer this too, right? Because you have a partner that you have a shared passion and purpose with, and I got to say, actually, there's something so magical about that, and the cumulative effect of two people who live, breathe, and think about that thing all the time, especially pre-kids, it's powerful. It's really, really powerful. And it's also sometimes not healthy because the only thing that you seem to talk about is the business and the work. Whereas now I have a partner who's not at all entrepreneurial, literally doesn't work, is the complete opposite, just plays. He's like a professional player. All he does is play in life. And that's wonderful. And sometimes I'm like, you're going to do anything. Do you know what I mean? Like, are you going to channel this energy towards anything? And to be honest, I have to notice the part of me that kind of sits in judgment of that, but also sits in awe of it. Like, wow, can I one day get to a place where I don't have anything on my agenda and I don't have to do anything today, and I will feel fine about that. So he's a great teacher and a great mirror for me. But there are times, I'll be honest, where I really miss that wing person energy. Like I really miss that. And so now I'm in business with someone who is my business partner, but not my life partner. And I like that balance because I go home and I don't have to talk nonstop about work. And I think it's cleaner because then my man is just my man. I don't have to be disappointed in the thing he didn't do at work. I can just see him as that energetic safe space, that that sexual energy container, the things that I want him to be for me in partnership, as opposed to a bit of everything. Because it's a lot to ask from someone to be everything in all domains. Yeah,
definitely. And then what's that brought up with you in terms of starting the new business and that new form of partnership then?
Yeah.
So you were like friends beforehand,
Yeah,
right? So,
friends, yeah. So I feel like what Michelle and I have done, and it's taken a little bit of time, and it's been interesting for me because if there's a void, I'll fill it. Like if something needs to be picked up, my mechanism is to just do it. And she's actually a really wonderful, and Michelle, like she holds really strong queen energy. She's one of the best delegators I've ever met. I remember for years before I even worked with her, I would just be impressed with the way she would just get people to do things for her. And I say that with genuine, like, that's amazing. Whereas me, I'd be the person who would be helping. Like she'd be getting me to do the things. And so I've always watched her in awe around that. And now that I'm in partnership with her, what I think is really great is that we've figured out what we're both good at. And we've created those delineations, and I just trust her to take care of her side of the street, and I take care of mine. And then when we disagree, it's actually really beautiful the way we communicate. And I think that's probably a a reflection of the work both of us have done.
Mm.
Yeah, we never fight, but we can completely disagree on something.
Mm.
Yeah, which is nice.
How does someone get to that place of being able to disagree but not fight?
The work, right? It's all in the work. I mean, to me, I'll just say everything comes back to sovereignty. Because if I'm safe in myself, then how you feel about a situation, I can meet you in that without making meaning of it,
Mm.
without taking it personally, without projecting my stories because I've resolved them, because I've done the work to realize that's all that they were. Um, and I think it takes time, but it's not as hard as people think. It's not as scary as people think. In fact, I don't know why not everybody is doing the personal development growth work, because every relationship, the one with your children, the one with your partner, the one with the random person at the gym, is going to be better because you're just not full of your wounds and you're not bleeding that out on everyone. So I think that's how you get there, is you go and you look at the stories that you made meaning of that aren't true, the beliefs, the lies, if you will, and you go in and you rewrite them. You call back your wholeness.
Mm.
And from that place, it's like circumstance doesn't really matter, because it's an illusion to say that once you do the work, everything's sweet and breezy. I mean, it's not sunshine and rainbows, right? But it just doesn't steal your peace.
Mm.
That's what I notice. Like life can be really lifing, and, the season can be tough, and you're just in the ship riding the storm.
Mm.
And it'll pass, and there's a safety and a sense of like almost bliss even in the discomfort, if that makes sense, because you're in the dance of life. It's like, yeah, this is the season of this.
Mm.
Let's just breathe it in and move through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that season for you at the moment then?
Oh gosh. Well, I feel like I'm on a cusp. I feel like I've just come out of real grit, because it's a new business, and because I'm the tools in this particular business. It's fitness. I've got 25 years experience in that. I can teach anything with my eyes closed. So I've lent into that, but that's very much in the business, not on the business. It's not what I want to be doing. Love doing it, can do it easily, but it takes energy. But sometimes, as we were saying, before we started, it's what's needed for a season. But I always notice and this is the thing that I think more of us need to be attuned to. It's never what we're doing, it's the balance, it's the harmony, right? It's like, when is that too much? When is 2 classes, 3 classes, great, because you love every second of it. When is 22 classes, like, now I feel resentful? It's finding that balance. So I've just come out of a season where I fully acknowledge that I was not in balance and harmony at a level that I liked, but I was willing to do it because it's what was required. So now I'm finding space again, and I'm coming back into attunement, and I'm asking myself, what is it that I really want to be doing with the time? How much am I willing to give here? And where and how much do I need to pull back so that I'm happy? Because if I'm not happy, I mean, it's the big thing for women, right? Like, we want to make everyone else happy. But if I'm not happy, then everything I do is with that edge of bitterness or resentment. And I just don't like to live like that. I just really don't like how that feels in my system. So I take responsibility for where I've allowed too much to swing one way or the other. And it's not fixed in the instant, and this is something that I think bears more communicating around. Like, sometimes we do find ourselves doing the thing that we don't want to be doing for a period of time that we don't want to be doing it, and yet we're committed to the long game, right? So that is a sovereign choice. But when my partner's like, it's too much, you need to ease back, and he wants me to do that instantly, and I'm unwilling to do that because of what I've committed to in the long term. So yeah, it's a dance. And then, of course, you've got to be mindful that you don't do that for 5 or 10 years. So yeah. So yeah, I'm pulling up stumps and I'm reallocating my energies.
Yeah. That's I'd love to know how you do that dance, because that's definitely something that I journey as well. I get caught in what's required for what the vision is long term, which means that I will overdo short term with the story of that's what's required right now. What's the dance with that? Because it's very, very paradoxical in terms of
Yeah, I feel you so much on that, and I think it's a constant attunement, but I think it's the nuance of what you're attuning to, right? So for me, I have like little feedback mechanisms just generally, and what I mean by that is, if I've given too much, because everything is just about capacity, right? This is what's important for us all to remember. We all can give in different domains, but there isn't a limit to our capacity. And I would say, and I imagine it's true about you and all high performing people, our capacity probably far outstrips many.